Hi everyone, Michael Christie here, music director of the New West Symphony. May the 4th be with you on this Star Wars Day, and I'm joined by New West Symphony Concertmaster Alyssa Park and Los Angeles Philharmonic Principal Horn, Andrew Bain. Thank you both for joining me.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
I mean, what's it like to be with a master who's produced so many monumental films? Like, what's he like in the film soundtrack environment?
Well, I've in the past worked with him in some of the summer concerts for the Boston Pops. But I think mostly what's incredible about working with somebody like that is just the sound that he produces with the musicians. I don't feel like string players normally get to be surrounded by that many string players, not even in a symphony setting. My favorite thing about John Williams is his melodies. They're incredibly recognizable. I've got a 7-year-old who I think if she could sing any tunes, they would be from different Star Wars movies, or any of his catalog, really. And I think he's an interesting composer to work for because, as many people know, he doesn't use a click track most of the times. So the feeling is that we are really making music together. We're listening to each other. It can be difficult at times, but the nature of his music works in such a way that the emotionality and the musicality of it sort of bring together the two elements and sort of don't need a click track, if that makes any sense. I mean, we do use it on occasion for things that are very rhythmic and are a little bit more precise, but in general, I think it works really well without using a click track, which is kind of unheard of during this time.
When there's not a click track, are you still having that relationship within the orchestra, or is it really you just kind of watch John and everybody's on him? It sounds like a very symphonic experience, but maybe it's different.
I feel like we listen to the horns
As you
pretty much. Like the
Uh-oh.
stars of the show.
Yeah, I think the thing with playing in John's soundtracks is that it is a much more orchestral experience than a lot of stuff in the studio. So it's a much more organic experience, I think, playing wise and awareness wise. A lot of the time in studios, you are locked into the click track and you're locked into, you know, as simpler things as possible. With John's soundtracks, you don't have that click track, so your awareness is much broader, and it's a much more interactive experience on a lot of levels.
Do you get the music in advance? Do you just show up and there it is?
Yeah, with Star Wars, we would get it in a few days in advance, I think. But with most films, it's on the day you show up and it's there, and you sort of deal with it and hope that it's not too hard. With John, with John's music, with the Star Wars stuff, we would get a little bit of lead time to have a look. Yeah, which was sort of nice. But the interesting thing with the solo at the end of Force Awakens was an interesting one because we recorded the film out of sequence, which is sort of normal for motion picture, and it had this very beautiful solo that we played, and we played it in one of the sessions. And a couple of weeks later, we actually re-recorded that section because John had changed some of the string parts, and so, you know, we played this thing many times, and I thought, oh, that's a nice tune. It seems like a nice solo. That'd be interesting. And we had a screening for the film a night before the actual opening night of the movie. And when that moment came up in the film, it was like, oh. And then it dawned on me, because I'm not that bright, that was the end of the film. So it was like the last scene. It was when the lightsaber was getting handed over. So that was pretty cool because with Star Wars you have actually no context because you don't get to see the picture. You have no context of what's going on. You can sort of work out what's going to be a fight scene and what's a chase scene and what's a romantic scene, but you have no idea of where that fits in the film. So yeah, it's always fun to see, you know, how the stuff that you play actually works with the picture. And I think with John, that's the amazing gift that he has, is his ability to match music and basically to enhance the picture with his music. He does an incredible job of lifting whatever visual content there is to a new level.
Andrew, since I know we were talking about your big horn solo, do you have, besides your own horn solo, do you have any favorite music from Star Wars?
I always love the chase scenes, and there's always will be like a fugue sort of section in the films, and it's just cool. I love the writing and just watching the strings have to play 7,000 notes while we get to play a nice melody is always good.
So in this time of COVID, like how is studio recording changing? I know that you're both recording some things from home. Um, what's it like in this next stage of soundtrack recording, would you say?
I mean, it's quite different. It's like, right now it's like having a 7-year-old walk in during during work. I'll
Yeah.
get to you.
We're almost done.
Okay. Let's see. I mean, it's for the most part, grateful that I couldn't set up something at home, although it's kind of disconcerting. I mean, I don't know how the engineers are doing it now. To have to basically have everybody track something individually and then put it together as if we were all sitting in an orchestral situation together. Some of the solo stuff I imagine is a little bit easier, but yeah, I was telling you, Michael, earlier that I'm having to record like after 8 p.m. because I don't have a soundproof place. I didn't realize how many birds are in my neighborhood, and
Right.
leaf blowers and gardeners, and kids playing in pools, and it's a little bit crazy. It's a little bit. I mean, like I said, grateful, but in the same in the other way, it's kind of sad to have to do an individual part.
And that's all via click track now.
Yeah.
Right. And how about for you, Andrew? Because I know you've been having to invest in some equipment, and people are asking you to do different stuff.
Yeah, yeah, it's probably the steepest learning curve of my professional life, trying to work out where to put a microphone, how to plug in a microphone, how to plug in a microphone into a preamp. I didn't even know what a preamp was a couple of weeks ago. How to how to actually record something and extract the file. All of these things I've managed to slowly learn over the last couple of weeks. But yeah, it's just you miss the interaction, the musical interaction with people, and it's a difficult process. But I mean, it is a process. It's certainly something new. We actually did a little recording the other day at Colburn for the Colburn Gala, with my students, and we were sort of placed all around Zipper Hall at very wide intervals, and it was so nice to actually hear someone else in the same room playing an instrument. It was a cool thing, even though we were 40 feet apart. It was just nice to actually feel as though you're playing with someone. So it's certainly challenging playing something that is designed to be with other people, but you're obviously not in the room.
Well, I suppose it's a good thing technologically that you've got R2D2 there, because he can just like plug in and turn, and that's really good. Well, thanks to you both for.
He's been really helpful.
Yeah, I'm sure. He's the quiet sort.
Yeah.
Well, thanks to you both for taking time. I know it's busy with homeschooling and all sorts of other parenting / making all the scheduling work. So happy Fourth be with you to you both, and good luck with all the other recording stuff coming down the stream.
Thanks so much, Michael.
Thanks, Michael.